Hey everybody, so today I am making a Spirit Halloween 2015 tier list. Now you might be thinking, you probably aren't because you probably don't remember this video, but in 2021 I made a Spirit Halloween 2015 tier list, but I am redoing it for two reasons. One of them is that I want a Spirit Halloween 2015 tier list you guys can watch without a cringe voice, and two, well, my opinions from that video 4 years ago, as you can probably know, are probably outdated. So, I am remaking that video so that, I have more fresh opinions. Also I'm saying I'm not going to rank Jumping Spider, The Haunted Book, forget its name, Possessed Wallhanger, See-Through Cindy, Crawling Kathy, Lunging Lily, or Roaming Antique Doll. I will not be ranking those because, well, they aren't 2015 props. They're, in fact, 2014 props. Antique Doll, I would probably rank in, like, the C or D tier. Lily, I'd probably rank in A. Kathy, probably, like, C or D. Cindy, it's a statics, but it's pretty cool. Probably C. Wallhanger, probably A or B. The book, I don't know, C probably. And then Spider, probably like C, just because it's the Jumping Spider, and it's been done. We've seen it 100 times. But there were 17 props new for 2015. So, starting off with number 17, and, well, okay, before I rank this, I should give you a rank down, or a rundown of, like, the tiers. They kind of specify themselves, but I thought I might as well give a rundown. So, S tier, we have the Elite animatronics. A is the Great animatronics. B is Solid animatronics. And C is Mid animatronics. D is Bad animatronics. And F is Terrible animatronics. So starting with the F tier, we have nobody. Yeah, I don't think there was a single horrible prop in 2015. I'm gonna leave it on the tier list just to kind of, because like there is a prop in D tier, and I don't want to. If it's the last tier, it'll look worse. So I'm going to leave the F tier just so that, the prop in D tier doesn't look as bad as that would be implied if F tier wasn't there. You get the point. So starting off, number 17. This is the only prop that I would call bad. So this is the first and last prop of D tier. That is Werewolf Rug. It's a static, I like the concept, like the rugs, but it's actually like still alive. It's kind of creepy in that way, like scary for the poor animal. It kind of doesn't work though with like the head. Like, why is the head there if it's like a rug? I don't know. I don't know. You wouldn't think the head's like still normal. You would think, I don't know. Werewolf Rug, I just don't think it was a cool concept, but I don't think it was executed very well. So yeah. Yep. Anyways, let's move on to number 16. Alright, so number 16 is, where is it? Okay, Roaming Rosie. This is the start of the mid tier. So this was kind of, well, actually it wasn't the first. Roaming Antique Doll was the first of the roaming prop thing. So yeah, this was kind of probably the most popular roaming prop of all time. I think even though she came after Antique Doll, when you think roaming props, I feel like Roaming Rosie is the one that pops in your mind first, not Antique Doll. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but yeah. Sorry, what was I saying? Because in 2016, we got like 3 roaming props that year, then the face kind of ended, we were like, do we really need this many? I guess it didn't really end, because 2017 we had that stupid vacuum. In 2018 we had like Ghostly Tricycle and the Roaming Chucky, so I guess it kind of didn't end until like even 2019 we had like Mr. Toots. So I guess it kind of ended in like 2020. We didn't really have a roaming prop. Is that correct? Yeah, I think so. I didn't really think about that. I mean, in 2022 we got the return of Antique Doll. But yeah, so this kind of like was one of the pioneer props in the roaming prop era of Spirit. Era kind of died in 2016, after 2016, and then in like 2017 through 2020 they just made like other versions of roaming props. Kind of weird. But yeah. I'm getting off track. I just think Roaming Rosie was alright. I wasn't a huge fan of all the roaming props. Specifically the ones from like 2014 and 2016. That's the ones I think of when I think roaming props. The Haunted Vacuum from 2017 is not something that comes into my mind when I think roaming props. Even the Chucky from 2018. That prop's kind of forgotten about. Yeah. I don't think Rosie's a horrible animatronic. I just think Spirit was really good back then. So I kind of have to put her in like C. Oh, actually, I think I would put her in C if she came out in 2025. I would. But yeah, she's just alright. There's just so many better props. So that's why she's ranked at 16. Number 15 is... There he is. Shotgun Blast Zombie. I like it. I liked it when I was a kid, you know, you get the Nerf gun, and then you, like, shoot it at the hole, he goes down. I like it. I like that it's interactive. The only, like, issue is that if you see this guy, even if you're, like, 10 or 11, you're gonna think it's, like, childish, kind of. But, I mean, it's still a cool prop. It's nostalgic, you know, yeah. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if it's really a kid gimmick. It's nostalgic, you know? And like, I don't know. I kind of like the interactivity of it. I guess I should have worded that better. I guess when I said, like, when you're 10 or 11 years old, like, you're kind of, like, you're at that point where you're, like, trying to, like, look older than you actually are, act older, you know? So, like, you might, like, you're gonna think some things are childish when they're actually not. So, like, something like shooting, like, picking up a Nerf gun and then, like, shooting a, like, zombie, like, in the hole, you're gonna might think it's childish. I did when I was 10. I don't know why, but, yeah, Shotgun Blast Zombie's pretty cool. It's just that there's just so many better props this year. Shotgun Blast Zombie, number 15 spot. Number 14, I debated ranking this one or not, because he technically came out in 2014, but he didn't, and then came out in 2015. That's Moonshine Barrel. I decided to rank him because, like, I'm not going to rank Valak in the 2024 Spirit Tier list. I'm going to rank her in 2025 because, you know, that's when, like, she came out. I'm not going to rank Boogeyman in 2015. He came out in 2016. Moonshine Barrel, the reason I feel like he's going to be ranked lower for me, I feel like if he came out this year, he'd be in the B tier. But it's like, in 2015, zombies were the thing. You know, Walking Dead was like the popular show, or the popular thing going on. Everyone was raving about zombies. It's kind of like the modern day clowns thing, except zombies are much more Halloween-y to me, so I didn't mind it as much. Though if I were around back then, I probably would have gotten sick of the zombies as much as I got sick of the clowns, just because of how many there were. But, you know, zombies, classic Halloween. I don't think of clowns when I think Halloween. That's why I don't really like the clowns Spirit. But yeah, Moonshine Barrel, he's just one of the lesser zombie props from this year. Yeah, I just don't. He is just like, also like, what do you think that he's gonna do? Like, he's gonna pop out, and you can literally like see him. Like, if you're more than 4 feet tall, you can literally see him. Even when you're 4 feet, it has that little hole you can like see him in. So it's just not an effective jump scare at all. He's still a decent prop though. If you have him out as like on display in a haunted house, then it probably, like, you might think, oh, someone has a barrel, and you wouldn't think much of it. Then it pops out. That might give you a good scare. But yeah, but that's really all it can be used for. Just haunted houses that are only up on the last week of October. But not any time of the year is that going to get you otherwise. Unless you put it in like a place where a lot of barrels are, but I don't know. Next we're going to move on. This is actually the end of the C tier. We're going to move on to the B tier. Now we're getting into the phase where, like, the props are not actually, like, I think the props are actually decent and, like, good in this tier. So, starting at number 13, unfortunately, a prop had to be at 13, and that is Swinging Swamp Hag. Now, she is, well, we didn't get a lot of witch props back then. Actually, no, we kind of did. We actually got more witches back then, because we had, like, the Black Widow witch from this year. Forget the one in 2014, their name. It was like, what was its name? It was the one with the Lantern Witch. The Lantern Witch, that one. Yeah. I would call Swinging Swamp Hag number 13 for me. For me, she was just, like, she was just a good prop. I liked her, you know. She was kind of, like, cartoony witch, like, straight up green witch, you know. I guess that's what Lethal Lily was, and, like, Cauldroness, and those were awesome props. So, I don't know if that's really an issue, but she does kind of look cartoony, just like how big her head is, you know. But I kind of like how she doesn't have legs, kind of looks like she's like a ghost, kind of. I find that relatively interesting. So, yeah, so unfortunately she has to go at number 13, even though in, like, recent years, she'd probably go at, like, she'd probably be closer to the top 10, probably at number 10 or so. Yeah, so coming in at number 12, hold on, let me check. Alright, so, this is a wall hanger, no, Chained Up Zombie, I think that's his name. I like that he's missing limbs. I do. It's a creepy concept, you know, and there were a lot of zombie props back then. And thinking of, this is the Subway theme. The old Subway, the original Subway theme. Yeah, we'll have to see this year's Subway theme. I kind of want to compare the two when the season's over. But, yeah, you know, he's pretty cool. Let's be honest, he's pretty cool. I like his audio, I like his looks. You'll notice there's a lot more gory props. If I'm honest, I think Spirit 2015 was the last year that was, like, gory and stuff. It's not the last good year, no. 2016, right after, was a pretty good year, nostalgia-wise, at least. I didn't like 2017 that much. 2018, well, you guys will see the tier list. I'm gonna probably make one every day until I get up to, like, 2021. Maybe I'll probably go up to 2022. I'll go up to 2023. You know, my 2020, actually, I'll just do them all. I'll do them all. 2015 to 2025. Yeah. I'm not going to do, like, 2014, 2013. I didn't know those years, so I couldn't really rank it properly. I didn't go Spirit. So, yeah. Anyways, moving on to number 11. That is Smoldering Zombie. Now, this might be a little unpopular take, but I actually like the Groundbreaker version better than the big one because I don't know, it works better. Like with the fog coming out, and he's like, his legs have already burned, you know. I think the effect is better on Smoldering Zombie Groundbreaker in 2016. Not to say that I don't like Smoldering Zombie. I still think he's a cool prop, but I just think now that we've seen the Groundbreaker, well, that was in 2016, I don't know what I'm saying, now that we've seen it, like it came out last year. No, it came out in 2016, 9 years ago, but yeah, I can't believe this is 10 years ago. Like, it feels like this should only be, like, 4 years ago, not 10, but yeah, Smoldering Zombie is pretty cool, but I feel like he's kind of obsolete, especially because we saw the Groundbreaker in 2016. So yeah, and no, Campfire Zombie isn't an upgrade over Groundbreaker, and he's not even an upgrade over Smoldering Zombie. He sucks. Well, I don't know about sucks. He's kind of nostalgic. What am I saying? Alright, nonetheless, let's move on to the top 10. And starting us at number 10, Gravegrabber. Now, Gravegrabber is a nostalgic prop for me. He's one I always kind of liked back then. Thing is that he is well, just kind of obsolete just compared to the stuff we see now. And that's kind of the problem with ranking 2015 and 16 is that most of your rankings going to be based on nostalgia rather than how good the actual prop is, because the actual props aren't really that good compared to what we have now. You know, like Gravegrabber, he was a good seller. You know, they brought him back for 2016. Heck, they even brought him back for 2021. But yeah, that's why I feel like the higher up we get on the rankings, it's just gonna be the more nostalgic I am. So I feel like, you know, yeah, you can't really put it together as good of a ranking as you could have in 2015, but I still like Gravegrabber. You know, it's a cool concept. It's just that we saw so many grave grabbing props. Similar to the Roamings, except it wasn't as bad. Like in 2014, we had Kathy, 15 Gravegrabber, 16 we had the doll one. I forget its name. You'll see that in the next video, probably tomorrow, because I'm making all the tier lists. All right. 2017 we had. Wait, what did we have in 2017? We had that. No, I don't think we got one that year. No, and then 2018 we got Crawling Kathy? Crawling Dead. Yeah, Crawling Dead. I know it wasn't the same, but still kind of fits, you know. So yeah. Man, Crawling Dead's a really forgettable prop. Anyways, in 2018 we also got Roaming Spider. I'm getting off track. Gravegrabber, he's solid. I just don't know why they brought him back in 2021, especially when there are so many better options. But yeah, so let's move on to number 9. Continuing our trend with zombies, at number 9, we got Compost Corpse. Yeah, we're kind of on the zombie run here. 6 of the last 7 props for zombies. Wow, I guess thinking about it now, maybe clowns aren't that. No, they're bad. Clowns are way less original, have so much less originality. Zombies, I feel like you can do a little more with. So they're all kind of the same thing, I guess. I don't know. It just kind of. Well, the thing is, like, I was fine with having multiple clown props in like 2017, 2018, 2019. Because, you know, that's when it came out. It was popular, and we got a bunch of clowns were popular at that time. So we kind of, like, it made sense to have a lot of clowns back in like 2017, 2018, 2019. That's why it made sense to have a ton of zombie props, because Walking Dead was popular. But when when it's 2025, didn't come out. It came out like 6 years ago, and we're still getting 5 clown props every year. It just gets a little repetitive. And the thing is, the zombie craze for Spirit, it only lasted until like, I don't know, this was probably the last year, and the first year was like 2013 or 14. This clown phrase has lasted from 18 to 2025, and probably longer. That's why the clowns get more boring, it's just because they did it longer than zombies. And also, this was kind of like the beginning of the Spirit days, so it's nostalgia too, I'll be honest. But yeah, the Compost Corpse, I like that he's cut in half, even though they kind of did that same thing with Gravegrabber, and then they did the next there with the Smoldering Zombie Groundbreaker, Smoldering Zombie Groundbreaker. So we had a lot of cut in half zombies, and now we're getting a ton of cut in half clowns. Poor George, Lucky Bottoms, Lucky Liz. History repeats, right? Yeah. I thought Compost Corpse was pretty cool. I like his audio. I like that, like, in his demo videos in, like, the forest, so he kind of, like, camouflages with the leaves, but I'm not making demo videos. I'm making props. I like that he only has one arm. Kind of steals that gimmick from Chained Up Zombie with the limb missing, but yeah, I guess zombies were really more repetitive than clowns. But looking back on it, it's less annoying looking back than it is like living with so many clown props nowadays. But yeah, I'm sure clowns won't be as bad looking back if that ever fades out. I don't know, but yeah. So Compost Corpse is pretty cool. I like the way it looks. I just like him a lot. So we're gonna move on to number 8. Alright, number 8, finishing the B tier with yet another zombie, Incinerator. This is the end of zombies. The rest of the props are either going in A or S. Yeah, end of B tier as well. So this is kind of the zombie tier. Wow, we had 7 zombies. Yeah, that's a lot more than we had clowns. But yeah, of course, actually, okay, the zombies weren't actually that bad this year, okay, because now that I think about it, the theme was Spirit Station Z. It was literally the zombie subway station. That was literally the theme, actually. So, okay, that's why, like, okay, so if you have 7 clowns and you have a carnival theme, it isn't that bad. When you have 7 zombies and it's a zombie subway theme, that isn't that bad. But when you have 5 clowns in a subway, or in a farm, or on a boat, or on an island, or in a factory, or in a lab, or in a graveyard, it gets a little repetitive. Yeah, so the clowns weren't that bad when you compare it to, zombies weren't that bad if you actually look at the theme. That's why the carnival wasn't that bad to have many clowns. Like, why couldn't we have just gotten all the clowns last year? Like, we should have had some of the, like, oddities and curiosities this year. Like, Dark Princess. Actually, no, like, okay. Like, okay. What am I trying to say? Like, I feel like, I don't know. We'll talk about that in, like, 2024. But, yeah. Number 8's Incinerator. Solid jump scare. I like this prop. This is kind of what we thought the Cremator was going to be. Kind of disappointing what Cremator ended up being, but he's still alright. I like the jump scare. Pretty effective. You might not expect it as much as Moonshine Barrel. Yeah, and it's probably going to scare you a little more if you see it in a haunted house. But, yeah, I feel like you wouldn't expect it as much. Like, you wouldn't... The barrel might look a little out of place. If you put the Incinerator in, like a boiler room or whatever, it won't look out of place. With other barrels, it'll look out of place. It'll look different. The Incinerator, it won't look out of place in a boiler room, right? So, yeah, it's a good scare. The only thing is, in the store, it's kind of like, yeah, it's gonna jump scare. That just made sense really, but yeah, Incinerator was a pretty cool prop, pretty nostalgic. Again, a lot of rankings on here just based on nostalgia rather than actually good. But anyways, let's move on to the A tier. And starting off with the A tier, at number 6, we have... Alright, so we have Pumpkin Guardian of the Grave. Now, okay, he is a little childish. Or, like, a kid-friendly prop. But I was 4 in 2015. And so that'll make me nostalgic. And like I said, these rankings are pure nostalgia, not how good the props are. Sorry. Yeah, number 7, Pumpkin Guardian of the Grave. Super nostalgic. One of the first props I think of when I think Spirit Halloween 2015. Super nostalgic. Probably one of the best props from Spirit Halloween 2015. Well, only number 7. Someone had to be here. Nostalgic audio. I liked this Jack, even though he kind of stole the audio. But yeah. I like the rising. You would expect a jump scare too, especially with how many Gravestone jump scare props we had back then. No. And he rises instead of like popping up. So that's actually, I like that. I like that he rises. You know, Spirit used to think, I feel like Spirit back in the day used to think jump scares were peak. That's not always the case. Jump scare props got a little boring. I'm glad they kind of stopped doing jump scare props relatively recently. Well, I mean, they still do them, but not as much as they used to. But, like, look, like, okay, Backman Bonnie is a prime example of, like, how the jump scare isn't always necessary. This might be a hot take. I like Backman Bonnie better than Broken. Okay, because the jump scare, I feel like you expect it, right? It's facing against you, but nah. Backman Bonnie leans back. Like, I actually like it better than Broken Girl. And I did really like Broken Girl, okay? She would have gone to my A tier in 2014 if I made it that one, but I won't make it. Ha! Yeah, but, you know, that's just an example of how a jump scare doesn't always need to be to make it a good prop. It can just be a slow riser or a slow back bend. You know, yeah. Yeah, so Pumpkin Guardian of the Grave, really effective, but he's kind of cheesy and childish. I mean, bright orange pumpkin, it is a little cheesy. But yeah, number 6, we're going to move on. Alright, so number 6, actually, sorry, I kind of skipped. Pumpkin Guardian of the Grave is number 6. Number 7 was Black Widow Flaming Witch, so we're just going to number 7. I apologize for that misorder there by me, but yeah, we'll just talk about Flaming Witch here. She's an awesome prop. It's just someone had to go at number 7, right? I kind of like the fire theme we had this year. Like the swamp, like the windows were on fire. You had I was about to say Fire Demon. Harbinger of Hell kind of had like a fire theme to it. Black Widow Flaming Witch. So, yeah. You know, I kind of wish Spirit would incorporate fire more in their themes, because it was really effective in this year. Have they done fire? I guess they do have, like, fog props. And Cerberus, that's another example. Arctic Dragon should have been fire. I don't care what anybody says. Arctic Dragon should have been fire. Yeah. We're getting off topic. Black Widow Flaming Witch. I like her phrases. Honestly, she wasn't close enough to the theme. Close enough, you know, like she was far back on the theme, so it wasn't really scary for me as a kid. It should have been. It really should have been scary. But she was kind of far back in the theme. If she had scared me when I was a little kid, if she was, like, closer up, she could have been one of my favorites from that year. Like, Well, we'll get to that in a bit here. But she was a really solid prop. I like her phrases. Animation, I like how she looks down and then looks up. There's not much more to it. But she's pretty solid. So, move on to the top 5 because I kind of messed up here. Starting with starting with the top 5, we got Twitching Banshee, not S tier. What am I doing? Twitching Banshee, really nostalgic. But the problem, she is loud. And I mean loud, I mean... Ah! Yeah, that's the loud I mean. But probably louder than that. Yeah, her screaming in the stores, you could hear her from the front in both 2015 and 2016. I remember it more in 2016. Because, I was 1 year older and I have more memories from 2016 going to Spirit. So, yeah. But, she's a really cool prop. Nostalgic, effective, it works. She was brought back last year with a new design. Online only. Fortunately, I don't know if I say unfortunately, because even though she's awesome, she can be annoying. And I think if they brought her in stores and she annoyed the fan base, I feel like the fan base would have had, ruined her reputation as a good prop. Compared to, she's still a great prop in everyone's eyes, but I feel like if she had brought back in stores, we'd have a lot more people talking about how annoying it is, in a bad way. Now we talked about it, it's annoying, but nostalgic, We would talk about it in a bad way if she was in stores last year. Or they'd have to ask stores to turn down the volume. I guess that's kind of what stores already did, so I don't know. But, let's move on to number 4, which is Little Skelly Bones. For 2 reasons why I put him above Banshee. A, he's more nostalgic. B, he is less annoying. Well, okay, maybe in my eyes. I see why people could say he's annoying. But, Little Skelly Bones, he's iconic. The 2022 version straight up ruined the prop. I mean, I didn't hate the 2022 version, but it kind of lost the effectiveness, just making it a cheap jump scare. See why jump scares aren't always for the best. Little Skelly Bones is a prime example, along with Backbend Bonnie, and Bumpkin Guardian of the Grave. Yeah, those are some prime examples of why jump scares aren't always the best. Where props don't always need to be a jump scare to be good. I don't think... Do I even own a jump scare prop? I don't know. I guess I own Jumping Spider, but... Everyone owns Jumping Spider. But do I own, another prop that's a jump scare? I guess Darling Dolly's kind of a jump scare. See, Darling Dolly wouldn't work as a slow... If she leaned at you slow, it wouldn't work. But, yeah, Darling Dolly was awesome. But, yeah... I feel like Backbend Bonnie is this year's Darling Dolly, but we'll get to that well, I'll just say it here. I don't know where else I would say that. Actually, her 2025 sneak peek video. I'll tell, that's when I'll talk about how Backbend Bonnie is kind of this year's Darling Dolly. But yeah, Little Skelly Bones. I get sidetracked in these tier list videos so easily. Little Skelly Bones, nostalgic. His phrases are iconic. He is iconic. There's a reason they sold him every year until 2020, and then made a new version, had that static version. He's an iconic prop. He's loved by everyone. So, yeah. Number 3, I don't have to pause it because I know the rankings now. Number 3 is Harbinger of Hell. He's iconic. I want them to bring him back. Fire Demon reminds me a lot of him, so that's cool. If I had money back in the day, I'd have gotten him, Cerberus, and CRD. But yeah, Harbinger of Hell, he's pretty cool. I would probably get Little Skelly Bones above him just because Skelly Bones is cheaper. But I think I like Harbinger of Hell better. Harbinger of Hell he's one of the most underrated props ever. I feel like he never gets really talked about that much, but he's actually really cool. He's not that nostalgic, but he's so high because he's actually just really good. Yeah. See, I'm thinking, yeah, I would rather, Skelly Bones is better, but no. Skelly Bones, I only think that because I'm more nostalgic for Skelly Bones. But if they had both come out today, I would definitely like Harbinger of Hell better. I don't know, I kind of base this ranking on nostalgia, but yeah. Anyways, Harbinger of Hell, pretty cool. He was very faulty, and his clothes are Lord Raven clothes. If you don't know what that means, I kind of made a rant video on Lord Raven. It's a short, so you probably never find it, but yeah. Lord Raven was, his clothes were, they ripped. So did Harbinger of Hell. In fact, I don't know how many Harbinger of Hell models nowadays even have the clothes on. It's probably very faint, and it's probably just the stuff that couldn't really be ripped. But yeah, he's very low quality, but he's awesome. I think his face is a little meh, but if he came back, I would hope to make the clothes a little better quality. Maybe his arm animation. I know his head moves side to side. He doesn't need to move side to side, but yeah, overall, he's a really cool prop. He's just had some flaws, which is why he's not in, number 2 or S tier. Number 2, though, Cerberus. I'll just put number 1 up there. Cerberus is ending A tier. Cerberus is really nostalgic. It's a really cool idea. A 3-headed dog. It's from Harry Potter, and I think it was probably something before that. But, yeah. Cerberus, I just really like Cerberus, so do a lot of people. That's why they brought him back in 2016. Brought him back later in 2019. And now he's back in 2024. And now in 2025, he is back again. And it was actually confirmed that Cerberus is just another sitting scarecrow, Mance's best friend. They're going to come back every year. Jumping Spider, Yeah, that's what Cerberus is now. I don't know if a lot of people knew about that, but that's what he is. So yeah. Cerberus is iconic. I don't know if he really needed to come back, though. Because, it's more nostalgia and, iconic based rather than actually an elite prop. Well, not elite, just a great prop. But coming back, he's not as good. There's a lot of 2015 props that are just obsolete because there's so many better props now. And 2014 and 13, really. But yeah. But number 1, the only prop in the S tier. I'm not going to go over it too much. Because, you know me and this prop. It's my favorite prop of all time. It is Creepy Rising Doll. Favorite prop of all time. Super nostalgic. Yeah. Not going to talk about it. I own it now, thanks to her returning in 2023. So I own her now. And, yeah. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed. And subscribe to the channel if you want to see more with notifications on. Though you never miss a video if you haven't already. Oh my god, that was bad. Share with your friends and family. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think of Spirit Halloween 2015. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.